Hello everyone. This video is of lesson 1, The Lost Child, taken from supplementary reader of class 9. This story is written by Mulk Raj Anand. Mulk Raj Anand is a very famous name in story writing. He is a very well known, eminent story writer who is Indian but writes in English. He's really appreciated for his works because he writes mainly, or he shows the life of poor people in the traditional Indian society. He is very famous writer. So let's start our story. The Lost Child is about the child who goes to a fair with his parents and where he gets lost. So let's find out what happens in the story and how it moves. It was the festival of spring. It was the time of spring season, or it was the festival of spring festival. In the villages, people generally celebrate all these festivals. So that day, the day was of spring festival. They had a fair in their village. So all the villagers were moving towards that fair. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes means tight streets, and alleys and narrow paths came out a gaily is happily, clad, dressed up, humanity, mankind, or you can say people. In that winter season, people who were full of enthusiasm, they came out of the narrow lanes of the village, and they were nicely dressed, colorfully dressed, and they were moving towards the fair. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. Some people were walking on foot, some were moving on the horses, others were sitting on the bullock carts and were carrying and being carried towards the fair on the bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter. Brimming over means filled up to the brim. Here the brim means filled completely. There was a little boy who was passing or running between the legs of his father, and he was filled with energy. He was completely filled with energy, life, and laughter. "Come, child, come," called his parents as he was left behind, fascinated by the toys in the shop that lined the way. "Come, child," his parents called him to come as he was left behind. He was fascinated, attracted, amused to see the toys in the shops. Those were there on the way. He hurried towards his parents. He ran fast towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call. His feet were obedient, were listening to the command of his parents. His eyes still lingering on the receding toys. His feet were moving towards his parents, but his eyes were still there, stuck on the receding toys. Receding means when you go or when you move ahead, something you leave behind. When you keep looking at those things are now the receding things. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old cold stare of refusal in their eyes. He reached to the point where his parents were waiting for him. When he reached there, he could not suppress, he could not dominate, he could not control the desire of his heart. Even though, but he was very well aware that the old cold stare of refusal in their eyes, but he was pretty sure He knew that stare, that look of refusal in the eyes of his parents. I want that toy, he pleaded. He requested in an emotional manner that I want that toy. His father looked at him red eyed. Father's anger shoot up. He looked at his son red eyed in a familiar tyrant's way. Tyrants means you can say the one who controls everyone. He looked at the boy in that way. His mother melted by the free spirit of the day, while his mother was completely, you can say, he was filled with the spirit of the day, with the happiness of the day she was filled with, and she was little kind and tender, and she gave her finger to the boy to hold. Look, child, and she said, look, child, what is before you? And he asked the boy to look before what lies before him. Why did she say so? She said so just to distract the child from the toys. It was flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. In front of them, there was a field of mustard field, and there were flowers, yellow colored flowers. Those flowers were looking like melted gold, and it was like miles. It was quite big field of mustard. A group of dragonflies were flying here and there about on their gaudy purple wings. Gaudy means very bright colored wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. Intercepting means preventing from going further. A group of dragonflies were flying there, and they had gaudy, very bright purple colored wings. And those dragonflies were stopping. It seems as if they were stopping the way of the only honeybee or butterfly which was moving towards the flowers to get the nectar or honey, you can say. The child followed them in the air with the gaze. The child followed those dragonflies. He did not fly in the air himself, but he followed those dragonflies in the air with his look. He was looking at them in the air till one of them would still its wing. He kept on looking at those dragonflies till one of them stops to take rest, and he would try to catch it. He would try to catch one of those, but it would go fluttering and flapping up into the air. When he had almost caught it in his hands, but as he was about to catch one of the dragonflies, he was not able to catch. As he was about to catch them, those dragonflies would flutter and flap their wings and move up in the air. Then his mother gave a cautionary call. Then again his mother gave him a warning or called him. Come, child, come onto the footpath. Then she asked him to move on the footpath. He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. He ran towards his parents gaily, and walked abreast of them, side by side. He was moving at one side of them, but soon he was left behind, as this time he was attracted by the insects and the worms which were coming out of their holes to enjoy the sunshine. Suppose there are holes on the footpath, as if there were some holes in the footpath, and the insects and the worms were coming out to enjoy the sunshine from those holes, and the child was attracted by them. "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had settled themselves on the edge of a well. Now his parents again called him. This time they were seated. Grove is the group of trees. Shade of a grove where they had settled them on the edge of a well. On the edge of a well, there was a group of trees, and they were resting there under the shade. He ran towards them. Then again he ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the room. As he entered the group of, as he went under the trees, petals of the flowers which were on the trees started falling down in the form of rain. And forgetting his parents, again he forgot his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hand. Now he started collecting the petals which were falling from the trees. But lo, he heard the cooing of doves. Now suddenly he heard the cooing, the sound of the doves, and ran towards his parents shouting. Then he ran towards his parents to tell them, the dove, the dove. The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hand. Now he forgot about the petals. Those petals he dropped on the ground. He forgot about them. Now he was attracted by the sound of the dove. "Come, child, come," they called the child, who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree. Now they called the child again. Now the child was dancing, jumping, or moving around a banyan tree. He was very happy as he was going to a fair. So, in that happiness, he was dancing and jumping around a banyan tree. And gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard field. Now they hold the child, they took his finger in their hands, and they passed through the narrow, winding, turning, round path which led to the fair, which was going to the fair through the mustard fields. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs converging to the whirlpool of the fair. As they reached near the village where the fair was held, the child was able to see the many footpaths full of throngs. Throngs means crowd of people, tightly packed, converging to the whirlpool. All those round paths which were converging, which were moving to the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. Now suddenly he was repelled, at the same time he was attracted towards the confusion. He was attracted also, and he was repelled also at the same time by the confusion, by the crowd of the people he was seeing at. He was entering. A sweetmeat seller hawked at a sweet shop. Here the sweetmeat seller means the one who prepares sweets, was shouting gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi. At the corner of the entrance, a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of the architecture of many colored sweets decorated with leaves of silver and gold. He could see at the corner of the entrance, at one corner of the entrance of the fair, there was a sweet shop. The sweet shop, the architecture of many colored sweet means the maker of many sweets had covered those sweets with silver and gold foils, and the people, a crowd of people, was collected over there around his sweets. The child stared open-eyed, and his mouth watered for the barfi that was his favorite sweet. Now child looked towards his favorite sweet, that was barfi, and his mouth was full of water. "I want that barfi," he slowly murmured. He softly said that he wanted barfi, but he half knew as he begged that this plea would not be heeded because his parents would say he was greedy. He knew very well that this request of his will not be paid any attention. Heeded means not to pay any attention, will not be paid any attention as his parents would tell him that he was greedy. So, without waiting for an answer, he moved on. He did not even wait for his parents to answer him, he moved further. A flower seller hawked. Now he was attracted, he was amused to see a flower seller selling the garlands. Garlands means har. A garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. The child was not able to hold himself back. He was driven by the desire of having that garland. He went towards a basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured. Again, he softly said, he went towards where the flowers were lying in the heap, and he softly said, I want that garland. But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. Now this time also he was sure that his parents would not listen to him, and they will tell that these flowers are not good, they are quite cheap. They will not get the garland for him. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. He moved further. He went further. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. Now he came. Now he was drawn towards a balloon seller who was holding a pole. On that pole, he had tied different colored balloons. The child was simply carried by the rainbow glory of their silken colors. The child was completely drawn towards to see the rainbow colored flowers, and he was filled with the overwhelming desire to possess them all. And he was having the effect. Overwhelming means the effect which can strong emotional effect. He was completely drawn by the colors of those flowers, and he was not able to control that desire, and he wanted to have them all. But he well knew his parents say he was too old to play with such toys, so he walked on further. This time also he was sure that his parents will not get him the balloon, and he moved on further. A snake charmer, now comes the snake charmer, stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled itself in a basket. Now he went near a snake charmer, Sapira. He was playing a flute, and a coiled snake was coming majestically out of that basket. It had coiled its body, and its hood was peeping out of the basket as if there was a swan. Like the neck of a swan, it was majestically raised its hood, the snake. And the charmer was playing the flute, and that music of that flute was going into the invisible ears of the snake. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to the snake, which coiled itself in a basket, which was lying coiled in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. The hood of the snake was looking like the neck of a swan. While the music stole on its invisible ears, that music was falling on the invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. The music was falling on the invisible ears of the snake as the ripples. When you throw a stone into the water, the rounds and rounds which get created in the water, those are known as ripples. That ripples form from the invisible waterfall. The child went towards a snake charmer. He went there, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse means harsh, music as snake charmer played, he proceeded farther. He was knowing that his parents had told him not to go near a snake charmer, as the music played by him is quite harsh. So he went further. There was a roundabout in full swing. Now he saw a merry-go-round. Men, women, and children carried away in the whirling motion. Men, women, and children, those who were sitting on those merry-go-rounds, they were moving in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. They were shouting and crying in a laughter. The child watched them intently and then he made a bold request. The child looked at them in attentively, and then he made a bold request. Now he requested again to his parents, I want to go on the roundabout, please father, mother. Then he said, please father and mother, I want to go to the roundabout. Children, these are the 3 pages done by me. Next 3 pages I'll do in the next video. Thank you.